Hi, hello everybody. So, today we're streaming in English because we have the honor of welcoming Sheever. Hello.
Hello. Pleasure to be here. Sorry for not speaking a different language. Sorry.
Not at all, no problem. So, I'm Squirley. This is Flerya. Hello.
Hello. We met at Rainha de Copas. Do you remember?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a long time ago by now.
Yes.
What was it, like
2018?
6 years ago?
Years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy actually.
Oh, it's
Didn't
so good
you
to
have,
see you again.
Tequila shots together? You told me, Flerya.
Yes. She probably won't remember, but it's
I will say I met a lot of people in a very short amount of time. So
probably not, but it's okay.
So Sheever, let's start with the beginning. How did you started your career in Dota 2?
well, I started my career not intended for it to be a career in Dota 2. I basically said yes to a lot of stupid things. That's how I can describe it most. I was addicted to World of Warcraft, as I know a lot of people are, and I cold turkey stopped that. So no more World of Warcraft at all, and I needed something to fill the gaming hole. And in the end, that became Dota 2. Played it a lot. And at that point, I wanted to find a different job in my normal, because I just had a full-time job in account management. And I realized I did not want to be in sales. So I wanted to go in the event organizing side of things. And I was going to help organize an amateur tournament in Dota 2, because I figured that looks good on my resume, so that I can maybe, find a different job, because I didn't have any other experience for that. So organized an amateur Dota 2 tournament, or at least helped doing it. I wasn't the main organizer. And then I wanted more promotion for this tournament. So I started streaming it. And I was already streaming a little bit of on the side, just for like 5 viewers or something like that. It was nice. I remember at some point having 17 viewers. That was a milestone for me. The very vivid memory of reaching 17. But I started streaming the games. And me and another admin would sit in a Discord or in a Skype call, and we'd just sit there, and it was fairly awkward. So we decided to commentate, because you got to talk about something. And that turned out to be a lot of fun. And we just kept doing it. And then at some point, someone's like, hey, I saw you commentating this amateur Dota 2 tournament. Would you want to do that for me as well? And I'm like, sure, why not? And then someone in Twitch chat said, hey, you should apply for this commentating job that does not pay. And I'm like, sure. And I did that, and I got the job. And then they said, oh, in 2 weeks, we actually need an extra person to fly to Seattle to do interviews, which is something I had never done before. But you'd have to share a room with a guy you've never met before, you've never talked to. And I'm like, sure. And then I got a message from Ice Frog, and he's like, hey, we saw you doing interviews in Seattle. Would you want to do a couple for the main event? And I'm like, sure, that sounds great. And I basically kept saying yes to random things. And obviously I was doing a lot in the meantime. I was commentating all the time. I basically, at some point, I was let go from my job, important information, that allowed me to have a lot more free time. And I just basically streamed Dota and casted Dota all the time. And that's kind of how I started out doing what I do. At some point, the question was from James Toogood at TI4, is like, hey, Sheever, would you like to host a panel? And I'm like, sure. I've never done that before, but sure. I just said yes to a lot of random things that led me to where I am today.
When was that? Like to 2012?
It was 2012. That was the first international I went to. The TI12 one.
And you start organizing and casting amateur tournaments in 2012 either?
Yeah.
So was it like a 1 year you were, okay, I'm full in casting?
In 1 year, well, I will say I wasn't fully in casting because I couldn't make it a job just yet. I had to, I did a lot of things that were just unpaid, and I wasn't a Twitch partner for a long time, so obviously that also doesn't give a lot of money. And I was also, a lot of the cast commentating that I was doing were not on my channel, but on the channel from the tournament organizer. And they didn't pay because it was a voluntary position. So I basically was doing it after getting let go from my job. It was for financial reasons, and I had a good contract. So they basically gave me a lot of. Can I curse on this stream? Because in Dutch you'd say that you're like they give you fuck off money. Like go away, don't challenge this layoff, and here's your money. And so you get a little bit of a buffer if in that case. And
Nice.
I had that buffer, and that allowed me to do that for like 2 years before I could. TI4 was the first time where I knew if I didn't get invited for the international 2014, I probably would have not continued going for it.
Oh. And after all these years, do you still get nervous in front of the camera? Or is it a normal thing to you?
I think the camera, not as much. I guess the first time, so anytime I go to an event and the first day, it's always a little bit extra nerves. Finals day, every finals, I will have nerves as well. I think the biggest nerves are when there's a crowd involved, because it's not the cameras that are necessarily scary, it's the people that are scary, which I think is very normal.
Cameras don't attack.
I saw a
Like, we can
video-
all stare in this device, but if there were loads of people in this room, I'd be a little, a little on edge.
Yeah, I saw a video on your Instagram of a crowd singing "Happy Birthday" to you.
Oh, that is so surreal. I cannot. That was very weird. I know that I'm, I'm hosting events, and I know that people, when the first day of a first event, the people cheer because opening of the show, people are happy, but it's not necessarily for me, it's for the show. So I kind of disconnect that, but people singing happy birthday to me, that I knew in my head that's for me, and that's just really weird. That I don't know, that's really strange. I can't explain it. It felt very, very cool, but very surreal.
And when you first started streaming and casting, did you find the community welcoming when you started?
Well, no, not. I think we've all experienced something like that,
Sure.
where no. So I will also say, because as Flerya just said, a lot happened in that 1 year, right? And all in 2012, I went from commentating random games, amateur tournaments, to doing an interview at the international, and that's very fast. So you can imagine, I was pretty bad, and I get it. People are not happy when their favorite team is commentated by someone they don't like, and there were just a lot of threads, a lot of comments that were not very friendly. But I will tell you, a lot of that negative energy. You know what the best way is to get back at people that are mean? Just doing it again. It's like I don't know. It fueled me. It gave me energy. It's like, well, I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate when I commentate this game. And all those people I would like to, be mean to. So my best revenge is to commentate that game. So basically it just fueled me with the vengeance energy, if you
They
will.
can bite their asses.
Yes.
Nice. Did you have like anyone who helped you, like a mentor or teacher, maybe?
For a long time, no. I think the first help that I got was from James from Too Good, Harding, and one of the things that that I remember most was that I should. It wasn't. Oh, I don't know how he worded it, but it was in a way where I should stop being so mindful that I would come across good, because my job as a host, this was host feedback in particular. My job as a host is not to make myself, at least not fail and look good. It is to set up my panelists for success. And he said it to me a couple of times, I will tell you. And it took a long time for me to properly realize and adapt to like what he meant. So I think that's probably the biggest help that I've got to become better at my job. But in terms of commentating, I know there was not any help for that, unfortunately, which is maybe why I went into hosting.
Oh my.
So, you are like the first woman in the casting scene, and you did it all by yourself, like watching your votes, I don't know, and studying by yourself, like autodidata. Como que se fala autodidata? How is... Deixa eu ver por aqui.
You have to
Autodidata.
translate.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
so good.
Self-taught.
Yeah, self-taught. Basically, I will say that when I was commentating at some point, there were actually a couple of, not other commentators, but there were a couple of pro players and a couple of pro players that were happy to commentate with me, which is pretty unusual. But I casted, I used to have Skype, and I tagged everybody up as co-casts, so I could just type in Skype, you can type in co-cast, and then everybody that has a name that is the same will come up. And I had a whole list of co-casters, including Boba and No Tail and Seb, and a couple of big names that were happy to help. I think there were a lot more. I just can't think of all of them, but I casted with a lot of pros, and I will say I learned a lot about Dota 2 from the pros. Not necessarily about commentating. I think what I learned from casting with professional players is that I shouldn't be talking the whole time, because the limelight should be for the pros, not necessarily for me talking. But I think the rest is all mostly self-taught. And yes, I listen to myself cast, but not. When someone asks me how do I get better at casting, I say exactly what you're saying. Is like, well, listen to yourself and ask for feedback. And I definitely asked for feedback from my Twitch chat. My Twitch chat was I had a little community there. It was a big help, like massive help actually. But I didn't listen enough to my own casts, I think. On hindsight, maybe you should have done that better. But I didn't do that enough. But yeah, for the rest, self-taught, I think. Yeah.
Here in Brazil, the sports environment can be, not very welcoming to women. Mainly because it's basically men talking to men. So I've always wondered if that's something cultural here, or maybe it's something, I don't know, worldwide.
Do you mean specifically in gaming / Dota? Okay. So I recently came to a conclusion regarding in-game voice usage that overall, I would say on the Western Europe servers, people voice chat less than other regions. For example, if you'd go to Southeast Asia, there's a lot of voice chat, and everybody will flame everyone. And it's so much that that it's not specifically because you're a woman. It just happens to be something they hear, but they'll grab on anything. It's also vocal positively. Don't get me wrong. They're just very vocal. And I do think that in Western Europe, people are less vocal. And when I use my voice, I will say at the start of, when I started playing Dota, I was a lot less vocal because of exactly the reason what you're describing, because that was also a big problem. But now when I do, I get people recognizing my voice. Mm-hmm. So people are not instantly mean and giving up because I'm a woman or anything like that. I don't think it is necessarily cultural that people hate on women specifically. It could be. I could be completely wrong. But I do think that just communities that are more likely to be vocal, you're more likely to get flamed for anything that they notice. If you would have a lisp, but you're a guy, you'll get flamed for your
Mhm.
lisp. But obviously the easiest thing to notice if a girl's talking is that's a girl. So if the flame was coming anyway, it's gonna be about that. So it will feel extra harsh. And it does, unfortunately, also create some people just want to say anything when a girl's talking. That doesn't matter what, but because they're most familiar with why don't you go make me a sandwich or something along those lines,
Yeah.
that's what comes out. So even though those people maybe aren't intending to be as toxic as some of the others, I think we all know the others,
Mhm.
you'll still have the same energy coming because that's the, I don't know, that's just the gamer brain, unfortunately. It's a bit sad, but it is something that I think is in every culture, and
Mhm.
it is more prevalent in cultures that just are more vocal to begin with,
Mhm.
especially in games.
Oh, sure. Interesting point.
What about social medias? Do you have a lot of flames too, or no?
Not anymore. I think I don't know if you like. I'm not very active on Twitter anymore, or X, and I think Twitter was one of the more toxic platforms that I was on, and I am now mostly on Instagram. And in Instagram, yeah, there are some mean comments, but it's so easy to just hide them or mute them, and it's just, if people don't like you, they unfollow you at some point. Hopefully, there's a lot of hate watchers, but they're quiet, so that's good. I think Instagram overall as a platform, for me anyway, is more positive. I know also that it helps that I have been in the scene for as long as I have. So people are, I don't know, less likely to, like, they know I'm not easily triggered, so they don't try to trigger me, if that makes sense. And on top of that, my relationship with Owen, OD Pixel, is very public. So a lot of people that would otherwise get in my DMs and send unwanted pictures, for example,
Mhm.
I don't get those because people know I'm in a relationship. And if you're a Dota fan, most Dota fans really like OD Pixel as well. And so if you like this person, would you send his girlfriend rude pictures? Probably
It's
not.
not.
So I've had a lot less pictures since
Mhm.
my relationship did become public.
Nice. Well, that's
Yeah.
something to think about.
Yeah,
Um,
I think sometimes I think it can be, I don't know, it's weird, and I don't know if this is just me, so feel free to correct. But I think that when a girl's on social media, posting too much relationship things is maybe gonna lose you followers
yeah,
because people
absolutely.
like following. Yeah, people like following
I mean, they know
girls that they
we're
think.
not
Yeah,
dating them, but still, yeah.
yeah.
It's like, oh,
So
the door is open. But
yeah,
no, it's not.
no.
That
So
was.
I I think maybe being publicly in a relationship, and it doesn't even have to be with the person that people know, but just in general, I think will lower the amount of people messaging unwanted stuff.
Sure.
But I don't know if this is true because obviously I can't test that because Owen is known in this case. So that is, I don't know. It could work. I love the cat, by the way.
Oh,
Looks like very fluffy tail.
yeah. His name is
Oh,
Lil Tony Beans. Toninho Feijão
little
in
Tony
Portuguese.
Beans.
Yeah.
It's adorable.
Little Tony Beans.
Okay, so, um, do you have any advice for, somebody who wants to pursue a career in Dota 2 nowadays?
I think it's, for me, weird to give advice. I will give it. Don't worry. But I will preface this by saying that it doesn't work for everyone. And I started working in Dota a long time ago. So it's 12 years ago. So on, like, times change. So I think nowadays it's harder to start getting into a game that already has such an established scene, and then B is just harder because it's different. So I don't know how much my advice will actually matter if you're trying it now. But I think one of the most important things is you gotta, regardless of what you're aiming for, whether that be commentating or interviewing or organizing anything, you gotta really like what you're doing. Like, I commentated for a long time, as said, like 2 years, without pay, purely because I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to get paid. Like I said, it was never a chosen career path. It was just something that I was enjoying doing, and when anybody asked, I was like, sure. And eventually that became basically a full-time job. But I really liked the grind, and I still do. And I think if you don't like the grind, you'll get you'll have resentment building up, and you'll at some point have a sense of entitlement where it's like, oh, but I've been doing this for 3 years, so I should be successful by now. But unfortunately, in this industry, that doesn't work like that. And I think that's something that it's in any performers entertainment industry, by the way. That's not just esports specific. But for example, there's actors that are trying their whole lives to break through, and it never happens. And it's as long as they enjoy the grind of auditioning and working on their skills and everything, then that's fine. But you really gotta do like that. But you also gotta maybe show that you're grinding. I think that's my second advice. Get a YouTube channel, put out your work, ask your friends for feedback, and even though I might not have done it that much, but watch your own VODs, see how you do, and be friendly to yourself, because obviously that is the you can't start hating. Oh, I should have done that. I should have done this. No, just be happy in the learning process, and it's very much like Dota in this sense, where I think if you don't enjoy learning from your losses and getting better, then Dota is probably a very triggering game for you. So I think yeah, like what you're doing, show people what you're doing, try to build a little community that is supportive and might be able to give you feedback. And I think one thing that people nowadays don't do enough, make a show reel. So once you're a little bit happy with your work, get your editing hat on and edit a little video with moments of the work you did, so that you can basically blanket send it out into the void. Try to find, if you're at that point, try to find the contact people or organizations that you could work with, that you would want to work with, and see if you can get anything via that source. So a show reel is very important nowadays, especially. That's something that wasn't important when I was coming up, but nowadays recruiters want to see a show reel, especially if it's something on camera. If it's not on camera, then it's very different. I would also, I don't know if you were going to come back to this, but just to change the topic slightly, to come back to the voice chat. I think any woman in gaming right now has the very unfortunate responsibility, and it's unfortunate because it's I explain why. The responsibility is to, even though people will shit on us, keep talking in voice chat, because a large portion of men flaming us for being a woman in video games is because they are not used to playing with women. And the reason for that is a lot of women have bad experience talking in video games and therefore stop talking. So a lot of these men probably played with women loads of times, but they don't know because they never talk. So I think we somehow got to be the voices that kind of makes them know that they're playing with women and that it's normal. And that will be doable for some. And definitely if it's causing you mental stress, don't. But it is something that I think can get better. It will just be very slow. And unfortunately, it will just take some getting used to for the guys, and we have to take the brunt of that, which is kind of sad. It's such a shame to say, right? Because it's stupid and it shouldn't be like that. But I do think that is a way for that to get less in the future.
Yeah, that's why I call them bald.
That's the way. Hit them where it hurts.
Because it hurts, it's not offensive, to minorities.
Very good. If you're gonna flame anyway, just flame them for other stuff. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice hearing you talking about it because, well, I'm not gonna cry about it. It's just what it is. But men are constantly telling us we're not supposed to be here, we can't be here, we can't work with games. And sometimes you start, I don't know, asking yourself, am I the wrong one? So it's really nice hearing another woman talking that no. So
It's nice you said about talking in games. It's really all the times a bad experience here in Brazil. But the Valorant, I don't know if you already played.
Yeah.
So Valorant has a scene inclusive, and there's a lot of girls playing. And I remember one day I was like playing and was 4 girls in my team, including me, and 1 man, and we are what? How this happens? And Valorant also has toxicity, but they are more like usual play with women. So I think it's a way to start.
No, very true. And Valorant is, of course, like Dota 2 is an old game. Valorant is a relatively new game, and it
4
is
years, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And they also do Game Changers, which is a specific female circuit as well. And they are basically, I guess, breeding more familiarity with everyone and just being more inclusive that way. And I think Dota 2 has the unfortunate situation that it's just an older game, so less people being, less people playing actually being women on the voice comms. So I'm so happy to hear it, because in Valorant I know it's still. It's still a game that is PvP with teams versus teams, so you're gonna have toxicity. I don't think you're gonna ever root that out completely.
Yes.
But as long as it's toxicity that is not specifically like, the moment one girl opens their microphone, everybody, jumps on that and starts flaming specifically the girl, then I would say that's a massive step forward, and I'm very happy that a new game with a new scene, and therefore younger gamers, they're more used to playing with women, and women are more used to using their microphones. So that's amazing to hear.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible for us in Dota to have something like it? Maybe? Like
I hope
some
so.
pro.
I do.
Because you know what? That's interesting. But DPC has come to an end, and since it happened, the Brazilian community really has suffered like a lot. Because we don't have many Brazilian tournaments. So without tournaments, teams disband. And it's like a vicious cycle, because we can't host tournaments because we don't have enough teams. And I know the struggle because I'm organizing my own tournament. So I know the struggle is really hard. But because you don't have tournaments, you don't have teams, and because you don't have teams, you don't have tournaments. So it's like, have you seen like this happen elsewhere?
I would say, because I think Valorant is a unique case because it is such a new game. Counter-Strike has ESL Impact, which is a female league. I think the reason why, and I don't know this for sure, but I think the reason why because ESL does Impact, I think the reason why ESL never did a Impact for Dota 2 is because there's not enough teams. Like you need to have consistent teams And the thing that I see at ESL Impact is that they all the teams, they have sponsors, and they have those sponsors are like your normal organizations. Like they have CLG, as I guess the most famous one. They just had a women Counter-Strike team for the longest time, and they support that way. And Dota 2 just doesn't have that like that, and I don't know if there's any desire to set that up, because Dota 2 is, even in the the normal, like the Dota 2 for everyone esports scene, it's not the most lucrative of esports. So it's maybe not the best game to set something like that up if there's not even enough fans to keep some other things going within Dota 2. Because I think the DPC are falling definitely hurt, especially the tier 2, tier 3 scenes a lot. And I don't know if that will be better for a while. I think eventually it will, but the shock of DPC not existing definitely rocked a lot of the scenes, and a lot of the players and the organizations had to make other choices. So until the dust has settled, which I think hopefully will be coming year, then we'll know how much space and time and attention there is left for secondary and tier 2, tier 3 scenes, and maybe at some point a woman scene as well. But at the moment, that's just, I don't know if that's feasible for Dota 2, the game itself.
And do you think Valve has a plan? Because healing DPC really is rough for us.
Yeah, I think so I don't know this for a fact, because I know just as much as you do. And my idea about it is that the last 2 battle passes and the way that they handled this year is an indication for me that they have taken a step back on the esports side of things and a step forward on the game development side of things, which is why we see Crownfall. And personally, I loved Crownfall, and I can't wait for Act 4. It takes forever. I really thought it was gonna come out like last week, and then I thought it was coming out the week before that. It's like, when is it coming out? So I really like Crownfall. Crownfall, in a way, is the replacement of the Battle Pass, but then with a less greedy model behind it, because you can enjoy a lot about Crownfall without spending money. Obviously, the other paths in the Crownfall you need to pay for, but if you compare that to having to be level 100 for getting an Arcana somewhere, I don't think we've got anything like that in Crownfall, so I feel like it's less predatory in that sense. And it's just way more focused on the casual gamer rather than the esports fan. So I think they're hitting, I think it's 2 birds with 1 stone, where they get the more casual Dota fan more engaged with Dota, with actively enjoying playing the game and having something to play for, with getting all the paths unlocked and things. And B, people are still spending money on Crownfall, but they don't have to pay anything about it into the prize pool of the esports scene, because they can potentially just pocket it or use the money to put effort in other parts of the game. So I think they took a step away from the esports scene and step forward in the game itself, which I love. The step forward in the game itself, and I do think that them stepping back on the esports side in the long run will be a good thing. But at the moment, the lack of DPC, and especially, as I said, for the tier 2, tier 3 scenes, it hurts. Not gonna lie, that's gonna be the case.
So maybe they're just reevaluating, you mean? Like,
I don't know. I don't like, this was all guessing
no,
my
yes,
part.
sure.
I don't know. So I hope that what do I hope? I hope that they, I don't know. I hoped actually that they were just gonna have a flat TI prize pool. It's like, hey guys, we're gonna put up 10 million every time, which is a lot of money. They could be 5 million, but so that people don't have the association with, oh, what a disappointing prize pool, because I think they kind of knew how much the prize pool was gonna be when they released the compendium, because it was very similar to last year. So I think if they just said, "Hey, we're just gonna do 5 million prize pool," which is again a lot of money. But other than that, we're just focusing only on the game and on events like Crownfall, and maybe still do the compendium just a little smaller or something. I don't know. And yeah, I hope that's what I kind of hope that the prize pool was going to be a flat round number that's higher than what the prize pool ended up being this year. And then I think the tier 2 and tier 3 scenes, I think it's healthy if the scene eventually takes care of that themselves. That used to be the case, and it's only really viable if there's the audience for it. And to be honest, if the audience is not there for it, then I don't know if it's worth it for Valve to change that. But again, I don't know.
No, we're just guessing.
Yeah, we're just guessing.
Like
and the people are like, oh, we have the biggest prize, like 43, I guess was the biggest one. And now we have like 1 million. Oh my god, but it's just 1 million, 6 zeros.
It's still a lot of money. It's a lot of money. No, very true. I think No, you're absolutely right. At some point, a lot of money is just a lot of money. There's nothing to be said about that.
Do you want to ask her about the TI format, Flerya?
Oh yeah, sure. So in TI 11 and 12, like 2022 and 2023, they have a format like a group stage with 20 teams and two groups of 10. Playoffs with a 6-day interval and arena chains. And now this year they have 60 teams and 16 teams, 4 groups of 4. 4 groups of 4 teams, and then they go to playoffs. What do you think about this schedule? I don't know. It looked like a big change in 2 years.
It was a big change. I'll 100% agree with that. I will tell you that when I saw the format, I was not happy with it. But if I now look at the results of the groups and look at the results of the international, it's kind of, I think it played out the same. I think we, like at some point, the top 8 teams were 2 from each group, which is pretty impressive, to be fair. So I think on paper it looks, I don't know, it looks less good than having all the teams in one group, and that was, I will say, I miss those days where you had like 5 different screens because you have to watch all of them because all of them have Dota. I loved the group stages. That way it's a bit messy, and this way was just a little less messy. It was also over a lot faster, so I think for efficiency purposes that could work out. But I like the large amount of games. I think for competitive integrity, it did not change a lot. On hindsight, if you would have asked me before the event, I would have said like, well, I'm not sure if we're gonna have the top teams be actually the top teams, but I do think that we had the top teams be the top teams. So, yeah. I don't know what I think about the seeding matches that were there after the group stages. Because nobody went home in the group stages, and then it all came down to this one best of 3, whether you start upper and lower. And you could argue that is where that part of this format is the worst part, because why else would you have played so many matches to only have one game? One series. I think that might have been, the seeding matches, maybe use the group stage as seeding matches. I don't know. I'm happy I'm not the one making the decisions about that, to be honest.
and working in this years was like too different, the same. I'm just doing my job and that's it.
I say that this international for me was compared to other internationals in particular, relatively stress-free. And obviously there's always some stress that comes with the job. That's just part of the job.
That's why I
This one
call a
felt
job.
Yes, exactly. No, this one was very smooth, and I think there were a couple of reasons for that. A, the venue and the event was the Royal Arena in Copenhagen. A lot of it was done by PGL, and PGL had done an event in Counter-Strike in that same arena and with that same hotel that we were at, and it was very noticeable that everything was already set. Like they know where everything was going to go. They'd done this before. They didn't have to, try to fit things in rooms that didn't turn out the way they did. No, it was very much a well-oiled machine in that sense, where that felt very smooth from our end. I also worked with the producer that I had already worked with in the past plenty of times, so that's always nice to have one someone in your ear that you know what to expect, you know how things are going to go, and that just also makes things more smooth. And even if it's just the feeling of it being a familiar voice, it's just, I don't know, it's just nice. And I always love it when the hotel that I'm staying at is the same hotel as where the players are playing their matches from, but it's also the same hotel that I work in. So I don't have to leave the hotel to go somewhere. There's no shuttle ride. Don't have to sit in a shuttle for 30 minutes at the end of my day or at the start of my day. I can just roll up and then do the job. Obviously, I sit in makeup first, but then do the job. It's that just, it felt very relaxed for me.
I think today. I'm sorry, Squirley. I'm too excited. Oh my god.
Go ahead.
Do you feel nervous being with the players, or is like okay, normal? I'm bigger. No, I'm great like them. I don't know. Oh, what do you feel about them?
I am also bigger because I'm very tall.
Very tall, yes.
So that is helping me, I think, a lot to be just not extra nervous around the players or anything like that. There's also, I have been in the scene longer than at the moment the majority of the players. So I'm generally not nervous about the players at all. The question is, I don't normally know how much they are happy to talk or not happy to talk. And that's always like, you sometimes you step into the elevator and there's a player that you know who the player is, and the player obviously knows you as well. Do you say, obviously you're saying good morning or good evening or whatever, or bye. But do you have a conversation? And is your memory good enough to know if this player just won or lost? This is something to consider. Or is he about to play?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So about your career, I mean, you've been like, how many TIs?
Every TI other than the first one, so that is 12.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, is there something you wish you could accomplish on your career? Because TI is like the dream.
Oh, I know what you mean. For a long time, that was, it started as going to TI and as working the international, and then it's hosting the finals. And I did all that. I will say that what I explained before, that the grind, the grind set, the mindset to grind is still there. So still want to do everything, and I want to host all the finals if I can. And I don't have to. I can also rationalize it and be like happy and content. So I can do that now. I couldn't do that very well in the past. But I don't know. It's a really good question, because it's actually something that I also ask myself. It's like, now what? I have also hosted other games. I would like to host other games again. I hosted Valorant for one event, and that was fun. And
Counter-Strike too, right?
I hosted Counter-Strike, but that was a long time ago now. I hosted StarCraft and Hearthstone and Counter-Strike, I said. But that's...
Hearthstone, wow.
Yeah, that was a long time ago as well. But then, other than that, I mean, I like to host other games, but I don't know if I would necessarily have that as like a career goal, as you call it. So I don't know. It's a difficult question for me. And if you ever, have a like, oh, this could be your career goal, tell me, please. That would be wonderful.
But you're not retiring, right?
No,
Okay.
no. Dota stuck with me for as long as they'll hire me. Don't worry about that.
I have bills to pay.
No, and I will say, I still very much enjoy the job. I think this is the type of job that if you don't enjoy it, you'll get very tired of it very fast because of how often you are away from home. And I still very much enjoy the traveling and to go in places and the talking to my colleagues that I only see at the events that I go to. I very much enjoy the work that goes into it and the social aspect of that as well. Actually, one thing that I would like to host Deadlock if that ever turns into an esports scene, which I don't know. It's a fun game to play. It's a fun game to watch on stream, but is it a game that can be observed in a way that it's a fun, competitive game? I don't know. Time will tell.
And about the travels, being away from home, as you said, for you think it's easier because Owen is always with you?
Yes, I think that is a large reason why I don't get tired of it. I have a lot of colleagues that have partners at home, and some have wife and kid, and they have to leave the wife and kid alone for like a week or 2 weeks at a time, and that's hard. Like I can't even imagine. That's very intense, and I definitely do not envy, and I do realize I'm in a very privileged position that Owen is often going to events with me. Although even if there's events, and I know that there potentially, and announced, but yet might be some coming up that are having different attendances from me and Owen both. I think I'd be happy with that as well, because we see each other all the time and we go to events all the time. So sometimes when one person goes away for a week, that's nice as well. So it's a bit of both. But yes, I do think you're
A
absolutely
little
right.
vacation, it's okay. Give me my time.
How did you guys meet?
Well, we both, for a long time, we were just friends. We both worked a Dream League at some point in 2015, and we didn't start officially dating until January 2016. And that for a long time we were just friends, and at some point we were at it was an after party. There was alcohol involved, and then we realized we liked each other. So and that was it took a little time after that to actually. Well, we were from different countries, so that did slow things down, I think, as well. So yeah, that's why we have January as our starting date.
But now you live together.
Yes,
You're from Netherlands, and he's
from England.
Oh,
From the United Kingdom. He moved to me, and he did not need convincing. He was fine to leave the United Kingdom behind. And we moved to the Netherlands, and we own a house and a mortgage. So, we're committed in a financial sense. So yeah, no, it's going very well for us.
Oh, cute.
you got scared about dating someone that work with you, or like no, it's okay.
Yes. Well, I will say that is a very normal worry to have for anyone that is thinking about it, and I think it could have gone very badly if we didn't feel the same way at that after party, because that would have basically, well, we were just very close friends, so we knew we already had gone to a lot of events. Actually, the first event we did, the Dream League that I told you about, was a Dream League where we had to be in Stockholm for 2 months, and we had a show 3 or 4 days a week. And during that time, they didn't get us a hotel. They got us a house, an Airbnb house type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna share the house with Owen. and Shane. I don't know if you still remember Shane, but he was there as well. So we were 3 of us in a house, and I knew Shane, and I was good friends with Shane. And we were just told, well, you guys are going to live together with this guy that you've never seen before in the same house for 2 months. So then you get to know one another very well in a very short amount of time. You know how messy people are, or how long they can stand in the shower, or, and he still does this, how he, after, it's Owen that was in the shower, because the whole bathroom is wet. He doesn't care when he steps out if he stands on the blanket or he doesn't stand on the blanket. Everything's wet. But he did that in the, back in the day as well, and then he was just, a random dude. So, there's a lot of things that I already knew about him before we even were considering to have a relationship. And I think that helped a lot.
Well, Sheever, look at the time. We're almost out of time. Well, it's really nice to the feeling when I watch you on screen, I always think, oh, I wish I could talk to her a little bit. And now that I can, I just don't know what to ask first and stuff.
Well, if you ever want to ask questions, obviously we're on a podcast now, but now you have my Discord as well, so feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Don't say that. I will spam you.
Oh no! I will say I might take a little while to respond, as you both very well know.
Yes, I'm aware. Well, but so we can so we can finish, I wanted you to know, because I don't know if you're aware of how much you mean for the women, on esports scene, because, I'm gonna say it again, we're not welcome here. And
no, you are. Hereby, I welcome you. You are most welcome. Just remember that.
Yeah, seeing a woman like you doing what you're doing for so long and being great at it, it's like a reminder that we can be here. So thank you for just, working with Dota.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks. I have a lot of questions, but we know you have your you gave us 1 hour. It's like, oh my god, it's amazing. And we really appreciate it. It was a long time talking and trying to making it happen, and we did. So
yeah,
again,
sorry
thanks
for the delays there,
don't be sorry, please. Yes, it was amazing.
Yeah,
no,
thank you for
having
joining
me.
us.
No, it's really lovely to hear. And I will also say that in the long time that I've worked in Dota 2, there's so many more women working in Dota 2 and doing Dota 2 related things now that it is amazing and so heartwarming to see. It really is really great.
Oh.
That makes me a little emotional.
Cute. Okay, let's finish before the tears.
Yeah, good idea. Thank you.
Well, thank you again, Sheever, for joining us. Have a great day. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. All right. Thank you both as well. And you should invite me again. And I think if you invite me tomorrow, then maybe in half a year. No, we can definitely do this again, though.
Oh,
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And you both also have a fantastic evening or afternoon.
Yeah.
Here's after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
And
Sheever.
thank you for having me. Have a good time.
Oh, bye
Thank
bye.